yeah, ideally you're in the trade right now. The 15-minute has hit perfectly, just like we engineered before. There's still possibly pause to get in here at the 5, but it's already hit this as a 5. So like, unless you go right now, because you can't create that 5-minute candle separation here. So you've got 4 minutes and 24 seconds to maybe consider getting a second entry right here, and then it pulls back. So like, if you aren't in the trade yet, you can consider getting in here. But I mean, ultimately, again, getting on the 15, like how we engineered it, that was the smartest spot, because at least your 5-minute becomes a trigger. Now your trigger, you're not going to lose a lot here. It's only a 5 or 6% difference. But you know, if the 15 has to hold and you go slightly above it to this value here, and then you go below the 15, like now you're sitting there saying like, okay, well, I'm at 18% risk. I guess it's not so bad, as opposed to being at what, 12% risk or 11 or 12% risk, something like that. However, it's measuring out, it looks like about a 6% difference. So if that's 18, that would be 12. But like really this is the best. And then you're just like, you could even use any of this stuff as a trigger. Like you could sit here and say, you know, like, oh, well, you just, if you gain this and start closing over, you can get out of this at no losses. So like, that's the benefit of being just extra accurate, is because that's, you know, where you're trying to engineer the trade. And the only reason I didn't get into that trade is I was just answering questions as it happened. But otherwise, I would have put my trade on the books. Who knows if it would have hit on the exchange, because the prices are so wild across all the different exchanges. But what we do know is that like this 15-minute is like engineered perfectly for this short. And now we're just waiting to see if it actually dumps the move, because now you're in like a great position, free roll. And it's like, we've been engineering these trades for the past couple weeks now. And this has been exactly what we've been looking at, right? We've been looking at engineering these spots where it makes sense, logic flow, to take perfect trades, because you have like an exact criteria of how these moves collapse and what you need to gain, and when to get out. It's not just entering hold levels. Now you're doing proper engineering of high level TA, mixed with everything, mixed with RA, mixed with, you know, mental analysis, mixed with comparative analysis, mixed with it all. Like it's all, you know, it's all falls under that same umbrella of just like doing better at charting. And like you can see now how great this trade would feel to be in right now, because even though you're not up a lot of percent, it's just the ultimate clarity. Like I don't ever see how you ever lose money on this trade, and you're only ever exposing yourself to a position where you can make massive amounts. So if your loss, the worst case loss scenario is 0% or like -5%, and your best case is, you know, hundreds or even thousands of percentages on this trade if this dumps the move, then like, yeah, so $100, you risk $5 to make possibly 2,000. Like, like it just, 5 to 2,000 is a really good R to R, risk to reward ratio. And then you have a very much easy control. Like you start, you know, holding one of these levels and getting over it, and you've got a small little bridge to close, and that's it. You've got, you know, hold this level, get here, you've got a 20%. It's not even worth getting out of the trade. You can lock up profits if you're just sitting here focusing on scalping. Like you could just lock up profits right now if you just said like, oh, I think it's moving up, I want to scalp. Now you just lock up profits right now, and you've already made yourself 25%. So like you're good, or 24%, or however this measures out, 20 something percent. And it's just like the perfectly engineered trade, as we've been doing these past couple of weeks or this past month now. We're just engineering the best spots possible to constantly expose ourselves to high quality trades. Because to me, this is a high quality trade. If it dumps, it's going to dump, and there's no risk. That's the quote unquote definition of a high quality trade. So, yeah, I think this is a nice example of doing just what we've been doing so well for the past 2 weeks and month or 2 months or however long it's been, just engineering literally perfect spots. And yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else you say. You look for the 5-minute now as a possible, like, hopefully it doesn't hold this, because it already held this. So like you're hoping this doesn't reject the move. If this rejects the move, you might want to sit there and consider to get out. But you know, you also have to start thinking forward, like where could the next 5-minute level be? Like, so you have a 5-minute here, you also have one right here, right? So then like, well, you know, those are your next entries. So you hit the 15, you got entry on the 5. So I think even the 5-minute is written off now. And you know, to kind of be fair, you hit a 5 and then you hit a 3. So like you might actually be able to snake some kind of 3-minute entry here. So you might actually be able to snake this as an entry. But again, it's just not, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. But it's definitely not ideal. And then why is this blue? What is this blue one? Oh, I think that was supposed to be our 1-minute hold level. That's supposed to be a 1-minute hold level. So like you now, so you know, you can see where these targets reject. You can see really, and you have almost like a manual for like how to trade 101. And if, as long as you do your logic flow properly, and as long as you understand at the higher levels what's happening, like it's really hard to make mistakes. Like even right now, you can even explain why this candle is doing this. Like it's just, okay, well, so fine. It's rejecting the 1 minute. It's not able to gain the hold level. Oh, maybe it is gaining the hold level. Let's see if it hits the 3 and pulls back, or if it even can pull back here at all, or if it's going to make the 1 minute, or like what's going to happen, So I don't know. What I do know is that engineering these trades doesn't become too difficult. It's just, following them through is a bit of a harder task because they're very pliable, and this is where comparative analysis at a higher level comes in. So that's kind of what we've started to expose ourselves to, even in a lesson like this in the past couple, like comparative analysis 2.0, like the advanced parts of comparative analysis, which is also pretty neat because then yeah, you're starting to open up a realm of even new possibilities, right? Now you're talking about, like, you learned Pandora's Box 2.0 a couple months ago. Now it's like, okay, well, let's learn comparative analysis 2.0. Like it's really fascinating because then it's like you almost have like a Bible of how to take these trades, and hopefully this 3 minute hits and pulls right back. That'd be cool. But you also have to do your job here and updating your charts almost like constantly, because this is also going to be something where a 3 minute candle is going to change. Like by the time you're done your sentence, there might be a new 3 minute level. So you got to be, pretty careful and mindful of this. And,
Would you take the 3 minute one?
I would have been on the 15 and using those as triggers. So like if you want to take your trigger as an entry, I think that's something you have to decide if that makes sense for the trade, right? Because like obviously the 15 is the engineered spot. And then if you missed it because you didn't get in and you really feel like it's dumping, then 3 minutes your only choice, then that's what you do, right? Like you don't really have a choice. See, and so like now this is super critical here, this 5 minute. Like you do not want to rejection as a target on this 5. You don't want to hit this, you don't want to hold this. Like, you got some stuff here. I would never look at this, but rejection is a target because you've got the 15 next. You got the 5, you can also gain this 5 here, which is critical. So like, let's see. And you don't gain this 5, so you're looking at Dumpersville. So like hopefully anyways, unless there's like some kind of 3 minute OG that I didn't see somewhere. 3 minute level there. Oh, gee, is there like a 1 minute that can hold this up? Like, okay, fine. So like, you hope that it doesn't, hit this and bounce. Wicker body doesn't matter. They're so close here. It's not even a consideration. But even right now, if you just wanted to get out of this trade now, like imagine you've got 50%. Like that's pretty good. That's pretty good for engineering a pretty simple and straightforward trade. 50%. That's like, okay, dude, like pretty good. I personally, I wouldn't be getting out. However, like that's pretty good. 50%, pretty easy work. You just put $1,000 on that, you just made yourself a cool 500. Or if you put, 2,500, you just made yourself over $1,000. Then, pretty simply. I personally wouldn't exit here. I would want to see the dump. I would want to see it play through, but that's really nice to engineer that and to be able to follow it like this. And maybe where I'd consider getting out is if you start creating a 1 minute level here and starting to hold it. I just want to see this dump straight down. You don't want to start, you hit a 5 minute, you started laddering the move. Like, you've hit this. If you start getting above this and you close above it, I would probably get out of the trade and take like a 35 to 40% victory there. But you can also stay in it. Like I just wouldn't be exiting. I would be looking for this thing to just crumple like paper, maybe you went to that 5 minute. What's that? That's a cool 60%. 55, 60%. So you did hit a 5 minute here, which is interesting. But again, I still wouldn't be out of this trade. I would be sitting here waiting. I would not be. The 5 minute can offset the 15 though, which is a little hard to swallow. You probably are going to move up if you hold this. Like that, this is kind of a critical injunction right here because not only does it ladder the previous test, but you still have to get over this 1 minute. So like not only does it ladder the previous test, but a 15 is being offset by a 5 because I don't think you have any 15 minute levels here. You had a 15 here, but what's hit first, this red or this green? I think it was the red. So 15 minute level, 15 minute level, 5 minute offset. I don't know. Maybe you can hit a 5 minute level up top, but I think you enter a new trade for that. You're really just looking for it to collapse. Like now we'll see. Do you close over this or do you get below this? Like this is the test. This is the ultimate test, right? If you wanted to play it safe, you could exit on this 5. So you exit on the back test, or you could market exit right now. You know, you market exit right now, 50%. You back test this at 58. Again, though, I would still be holding tech personally. I want to see this collapse. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. It's nice to engineer this trade and then to like again see it through and just talk it through. And there's the 1 minute. Is it going to reject? Is it going to hold? Or are we going to dump it? Oh, last call, 3 minute. Can it hold? Or are we going straight off a cliff here? Oh boy, are we ever close to failing this move. Jesus, man. This is so close. It's hanging on by a thread. Literal thread hanging.
Is anyone even in this trade?
Oh, literal thread hanging on this trade. Now it can close under this 5 minutes. So now you've got another battle happening. Now you've got, do you gain this 1 minute or do you hard close this below, right? So now you've got another battle happening here. Let's see. Reject the 5 off this 5. Yeah, it's all within, like, you need to get back above that 5. It's not about rejecting this. It's about closing over top of it so you don't, inadvertently hard close a blue candle down here. Even if the white opens below this, it just gives you a new level to gain. And you got one right here too. Like, it's getting pretty ugly for Bitcoin. Like I've been saying, like this, it looks like it could dump. This is pretty ugly. Like, you've got not a lot of time here to make this decision, and it's getting pretty thinned out. But again, now you're holding a 5 minute over time. You're starting to create other levels, right? Like, now you're going to create a 3 minute level here. So now you got a 5 minute. Now you got a new 3 minute created. So let's see. You got a couple seconds here. Still wouldn't be out of the trade. I wouldn't be exiting. I would see if it can gain this now. Gain this versus that. I want to see this collapse. You might take a move up here though, but ultimately this is, control over your trade. You're not trying to sit here to squeeze out every last percentage on this trade. Knife catching entries and playing triggers on the other side is the way we should be doing it. Is 60%, then you should have exited there. Like, now it's at a point where you probably have to hold it to here to see if it rejects. So this is a trade where you're either going for the long term, or you're going to you're either going for the long term here, or you're going to just get out, right at these levels. Like, you would have already locked up if you were worried about it. And if you really think it's breaking up, I think I would try to take my exit somewhere in and around here, 50%. If you gain over top of this in the next 5 or 6 or 7 seconds here, 8 seconds. So if you gain over top of that, which you didn't, so I wouldn't even be looking at that. Next is your next up target right here, right? If this rejects, you could also set a limit exit here if you really wanted. If you think it's moving up, that would be kind of your next play, right? So you're in from here, you set a limit exit kind of like right around here, because you want it to pull back, reject this gain, and then start moving up. So like, if it does that, it might move up. So that's your next limit exit, right? You haven't gained anything yet, so there's no point in getting out of this trade. Although you have been testing this 5 minute, I think one more test on this 5 minute and I exit the trade. I think if you don't collapse the 5 minute on the next test, you've just started to create too much time frame relevance here, and you're just kind of creating, like, eventually you're going to get that creation somewhere, and you're not going to be able to hold this move, right? So like, you've got a pretty thin room for error here to see what's happening on this trade. Another 10 seconds, we stay here, and now you've got an even thinner room for error. So then, like, you get above this and you can start to market exit. You get below that and you stay in. So now you can start considering, if you're in the trade, like, now you can consider market exiting. Like, if you don't gain this right away, you just get out of the trade. You either limit exit here, which I wouldn't do, or you just, like, if that holds and starts to move up above this, just market exit and take your profits. That's where this trade, like, lies now. 45, you start getting above it, you just market exit. You just get out here. If you think it's holding the move, you can try to get out now, but there's not much to gain. Yeah, you just get out. See what I mean? How it just pops instantly, because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to either gain this level or hold up here. You haven't closed above it. So if you didn't have time to do that yet, you have to move and accelerate your plan. So now you're here or here. Like, which side is it going to be? But that's the point where you would have had that. The second you get above this, just like I said, you get out, because that's what you're seeing. That's why you see that pop. That's why you see that instant pop, right? So now you would, I don't necessarily think I would set a limit order on the hold level to exit. But if you don't get, like, you're going to go back down here. If you test this and start moving up, get out. That's the only thing you can leave this off as. right? Like it's either going straight down or you get out. And then if you're still in the trade, now you have to wait for rejection here, because now this is like the point where you'd get into your next trade or even here. And then you're just playing, now you're forfeiting it to play the longer position, right? Like, so you're here or you are, no, we don't want that. Oh, dude, come on. We don't want that one. We want one of these. You're here or you are here. No threes, there's no fives. Oh, rejections target 5 minutes. So you got a 5 minute rejecting there. So that's nice. So this is also a 5 minute right here. 5 minute rejection is target. So you gain that 5 minute level. Hit this, gain this 5. Right now you've got a ladder. Now you're likely coming back up. So like if you gain this, not looking great. But again, I think all your exit opportunities existed down here. And then as a second exit opportunity in here, at this point now, you're not. Oh, it's nice that it closes under. I believe it did anyways. Yeah, it hit this and closed under. Okay, so now your rejection as a target, gain the 5. So now this is, going to be a 5 here, right? Can you get below this? That could be your next exit, right? You could exit limit there if you're not out yet, if you wanted to exit limit, if you think. But you see what I mean about how easily that was able to see that there was almost like an expiration to this trade, a hold level here, hold level here, hold level here, hold level here. And then if it can't gain this, like I said, it's just going to pop and you got to get out almost instantly after that. So it's like very easy to see how these trades can be controlled, because when you understand how they flow and adapt, and this was a really cool example about the adaptation of comparative analysis. Like this is a really cool example to show like you are having pliable criteria that's changing almost every minute. So as long as you can follow the storyline, you can see where the arc exists. And if you know where the arc exists, you know which way the story's going, right? So it's kind of like a very nice way. And again, if you're not out of this trade, you're not exiting now, because now you're still on a premium entry on something that looks like it's going to dump. But if you were treating this as a scalp, you would have gotten out here, right? 15 minute, the 5 minute holds. Your next 5 minute target would have been here, right? That's already hit. So now you're looking for a 3 minute target. You don't have any threes, but what you have is a 1 minute break level that can turn into a 3. So that would have been the only spot where I think you could have gotten your next entry, which now is giving you this to gain. So if the 3 has to gain the 1, you're getting down to the final minutes of this trade, because you're in between 2 3 minute levels, while this will be a 3 afterwards. So it could hit this again and reject. But you're in between 3 minute levels, and then the only thing you have left is 1 minute levels after the 3 minute level. And that's where you could also have gotten out right here from that dump, just like we said before, because now you've got a 5 minute as rejection. So like this is the 5 minute that's going to try to gain. So maybe your 15 to 5 trail exists here, still in the trade, or you got in here. There's only so many spots where these trades make sense and can exist, and you can get into these trades, right? Like there's only so many spots. They don't exist otherwise. So that was supposed to be a hold level. It's not. This is actually the 5 minute hold level now. So that also could have been rejection as target, could have been this. But then really, obviously, the smarter trade was here. So like today's a really good example of following the narrative to just master your trading. Once again, just stepping through into a new thing, comparative analysis 2.0.